People of Speaker's Corner, I have a very important question to ask you guys today. A very, very important question. And trust me, many of you are asking this question, or many of you have asked this question at some point in your life. What I want to talk about today is purpose, is meaning. Now, who here has asked the question about purpose of life? Who here has asked the question about the meaning of life? One man. Anyone else? Anyone else thinking about the meaning of life? A few of us. Good. See, when it comes to the purpose of life, this is one of the most fundamental questions every single human being asks at some point in their life. Who am I? Why am I? Where have I come from? Where am I going? Who put me here? Why can't I even think about my existence? Why do I have the ability to question my purpose? This question has been asked throughout history. Philosophers, thinkers, saints, people from all different walks of life have asked the question about purpose and meaning. And this is what I want to address today. Now, what's interesting is that although we have, as human beings, this requirement to find the answers to the question about purpose and meaning, what's interesting is we live in a world which promotes, which pushes certain ideologies and worldviews which completely cut the human being off from finding any answers. Those fundamental questions we all ask about meaning and purpose, the worldviews of today cut you off from finding any answers. The worldviews I'm speaking about are that of atheism, naturalism, materialism, and so on. All of these ideologies which are quite prevalent today, which people find engaging, which people follow, these worldviews cut you off from finding any meaning or any purpose. Why? You may be thinking, why? Why is that the case? I'm an atheist, I have meaning and purpose, but do you really? Do you really? Because think about this for a second. As soon as you claim atheism, as soon as you claim to be a naturalist, what you're saying, generally speaking, is there is no God, there is no creator, there is no power, there is nothing. There is no being that created everything that exists. Everything therefore is what? Everything is a result of blind, random, physical processes. That's it. In the absence of God, there is nothing but random physical stuff. Atoms and molecules, and think about this for a second. Atoms and molecules whizzing around in space for millions and millions of years, randomly bumping into each other, colliding into each other, forming into larger clumps. And this over time has resulted in everything we see around us today. That's the claim. That's what you have to believe as an atheist or a naturalist, that everything in existence is a result of blind, random, physical stuff. I wouldn't even say processes, because as soon as you say processes, you're almost implying that there is a process, there is order. But there is no order in atheism or naturalism. It's all random, it's all blind, it's all an accident. It's all an accident. And therefore, everything that exists is an accident. And therefore, we, as human beings, are an accident. We have just randomly, accidentally emerged into this world, and we're going to die. And that's it. There is no meaning. There is no purpose. There is no value. There is no ultimate happiness. There is nothing. It's just random happenings and occurrences. Our lives are an accident. That's it. That is the cold, dark reality on such a worldview. And this goes against our very nature, because as human beings, deep down inside, we know we have purpose. We know we have meaning. We know we have value. We wake up in the morning, we brush our teeth with a purpose. We eat our breakfast for a purpose. We go, we live, we get an education, we do work, we have jobs for a purpose. We live with purpose, but yet these worldviews lead you to the conclusion that there is no purpose, there is no meaning, there is no value. And what this does is it creates this cognitive dissonance inside the human being, because deep down there's a voice that calls out and tells you you have meaning and purpose, but at the same time you follow a worldview, you follow a way of life which tells you you don't have meaning or purpose. And this internal contradiction leads to anxiety, stress, many forms of depression, and in some cases suicide. This is what was happening in the world today, and it's interesting. Look at the world that we live in, and you would agree, all of us would agree, from a material standpoint, we have so many luxuries, so many amenities. We have running water, food on tap, cars, houses, shelter, everything we want. We live more richer today than kings of the past. Kings and queens of the past didn't have what the simple person today has. From a material standpoint, we have everything, yet there is something missing. Yet the rates of depression and anxiety on the rise. Yet the consumption of Prozac and other antidepressants is on the rise. Why? Why, if we were designed to be fulfilled, to find fulfillment and satisfaction from the material world, why would we feel so depressed and sad when we have the material world? This should show us, this should be a sign that there is more to life. This should highlight to us that as a human being, as a human race, we recognize and we realize we have a purpose, we have meaning, which cannot be accounted for, as I've said, on atheism or naturalism. And I say this with the utmost respect to our atheist friends here. I don't hate anyone, I have nothing against anyone, but I do have a problem with a worldview which degrades the human being in such a way, which takes the human being from being a creature that was created with honor and degrades him to the point and brings him down to the point where he's nothing more than an arrangement of molecules and atoms. That's it. I have a problem with such a worldview, and this is why I believe atheism and naturalism has failed miserably, and it's failing, and people are waking up to this reality. People are waking up and realizing these worldviews, as interesting as they may seem, as much as they may justify for us to go and carry out our desires and just live in the moment, they are not satisfying us. They are not cutting the mustard, as they say. They are not doing it. So what is the solution? What is the purpose? How do we find purpose? See, what I'm going to say to you today is this, and I'm going to conclude on this point. Islam is the way of life which can show you purpose. It gives you your purpose. See, God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, and let me give you some context, because some of us here may not know what I mean by Islam. What is Islam? Right? Some of you may know, but some of you may not know. Islam means submission to the will of God. Islam is the final way of life. The final way of life revealed by the creator of the heavens and the earth for human beings, for humanity, for all of us. Not for the Muslims, not for the Arabs, not for the Pakistanis, but for the whole of humanity. And it's the same fundamental message that God sent throughout history to messengers throughout history. We believe in Jesus, peace be upon him, who was a mighty messenger of God, and Moses, and Noah, and Abraham, and all of the messengers. And we believe they all came with the same fundamental message, which was that there is a God, there is a creator, and we were created to worship him. And God tells us the purpose, and this is the purpose. He outlines it clearly in the Quran. And we expect, if we're going to find revelation from God, if God is going to reveal revelation to us, it will tell us what our purpose is, because that's what we're searching for. That's what we're looking for. That's what we don't know. And God tells us clearly in the Quran. For example, in one of the passages it says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. That's the Arabic. He says that he did not create the jinn kind and the human beings for no other reason except to worship him. And worship is our purpose. We were created to worship God. We were created to thrive of the worship of God, not the worship of the material world, not the worship of the material things we see around us. We were created to worship God and God alone. And worship isn't just praying 5 times a day. Worship isn't just doing certain rituals. Worship is comprehensive. Worship means in Islam every aspect of our life is worship, because we become aware of our Creator and we live to please Him. And worshipping God doesn't just mean following God. Worshipping God means to know Him, to love Him, and therefore to obey Him through this. And when the human being, I will address your question, sir. When the human being finds his purpose, aligns themselves with their purpose, and starts to fulfill their purpose, starts to worship God, they will find peace and tranquility. They will find peace and tranquility in this life, and they will find the best abode in the hereafter, paradise. And and this is something that needs to be tasted. I can stand here and I can convince you guys till the cows come home. I can give you reasons as to why this is our purpose. But until you taste it, you won't know. So I conclude, I will address you, sir. So I conclude by this point, anyone here that is looking for their purpose, that's searching for their purpose, do yourselves a favor. Pick up the Quran for yourself and read it for yourself. Don't listen to what people are saying. Don't look at what Muslims are doing. Read the Quran for yourself and see what it says to you. And that's the best thing I can leave you with. I thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for listening. Any questions? Yes, sir, you first.